All right, so I'm going to see if I can walk from the view towards town. I used to walk to town damn near every day. That was my primary exercise, you know. And I haven't walked to town since the accident because it was too far. But yesterday I walked, or 2 days ago, I walked up to the highest point on the south side through a bunch of brush, and I was able to do it. So I felt very confident now that I'm not going to make it to town. That's not my plan, because then I have to make sure I can get back. So I'm going to go as far as I can. I've got a guy from town headed this direction with a delivery for me of some food. Get some tortillas and eggs. And Mayhem's all happy because we're going to town. She used to always go to town with me, which I actually don't like since she's a chicken killer. But anyway, I'm gonna see how far I can get and meet this guy. I've got money to pay him with, so he doesn't have to walk all this way. And we'll see how this experiment goes. So I've been thinking a lot about this idea of having a religion, and I think it really makes sense. Now, this video is just going to be me thinking about aspects of that. One is that privacy is going to be absolutely paramount. The existence of it should barely even be on the radar. Now, I already registered the name of what I wanted to name it, and that means my name's already associated with that word, even though it's not publicly. The ISP knows. And so there can't be a domain name for it. And privacy, secrecy, should be one of the primary tenets. Even its existence, because if it's successful at the scale I want it to be, then it will be attacked and destroyed. It's very hard to protect an organization from being destroyed from within or from without. And so it's got to be written up. Now, I don't know exactly how to handle that as far as being able to prove that a document comes from it, that it and not anywhere else. So maybe there's a way to encrypt. Maybe there's a way to have proof. And I should talk to some of my crypto type people about that. And I should list up the reasons why it exists. There should be many facets of it that don't even know the other facets exist. Blockchain, I think, is the term. I don't know if the blockchain can be used for this or not. I don't even understand what the blockchain is. But that way we can have many forms of entry into it. This is rambly. Now, you've already made the mistake of telling some people you want to do it, and that was bad. I should not have my name ever associated with it. Maybe when I die, you know. But even then, that would blow the cover of other people associated with me as being part of that. So it might be tempting to not care about the privacy issue, but like I say, if it's going to be effective, then it will be destroyed if it is. Now, so the public face of it is a series of documents. Now, what's cool is that documents can get published in various places on the web. There could be a single account that is the one account that's run through a VPN. I don't know if I can trust a VPN either. We could use WikiLeaks to publish documents regarding this thing, and that they only publish what we give them. The recruiting end is really important. Yeah, I'm just rambling here. That's not good. It's useless. Delete this shit. Well, I made it to the Barranca, no problem. I no longer walk like a penguin. I walk more like somebody that's got to take a shit. Probably doesn't look good. I walk around in town. I went to town for the first time driving by myself. Actually, I think I did it once before. And got supplies. And I do think it, you know, I walk around funny, so some people probably look at me like, what's wrong with that guy? But whatever, you know, all my life I've seen people, they got a weird leg or something and hobble around. And I guess now I'm one of them. I don't know that I'll be that way all my life or not, but whatever, I'll deal with it. I do have a cane that was given to me by a friend, which was such a nice thing. And I'm not bringing it. I'm just watching really carefully because there's a lot of rocks here and things. But this is the only way I'm going to get stronger. Like, I imagine, am I ever going to be able to run again? You know? I mean, it's not like I really run around a lot. I ran around in high school. I was on a cross-country team and did quite well. But generally, I just like walking. So if I can succeed at walking better, I'll be perfectly happy enough. So over here's the far side. This is one of the 3 intense forest sculpting experiments I'm doing. And this one's grown over a lot of undergrowth, which is very encouraging. It's great. I don't have immediate plans for using it for anything. There is a single road, well, on the north side, it has the Barranca. And there's a sloped area there that I call the Nook, because it's just kind of in there, and I have plans for that. Up here, the goal is to maximize view. Now, there is a grove of oaks kind of down from here near the property line, and I want to leave those there. Those are really cool oaks. We want to plant those with orchids, the native orchids, and the native epiphytic cacti, that kind of thing. The rest of it, you know, you see like pretty tall pine trees here. That's because we cut all this a long time ago, but they're growing back in really quickly, and that's fine. I would like to top them off, I guess, because the goal is upslope here. We want to have a view over this forest, you know, and it could be that we have to go like midway up this slope towards the other property line in that direction. That's fine. It's not a problem. But then I want to sculpt this into better uses. So here I've already got a road that I made that goes down towards the property line, and then I bulldozed a flat spot down there. The idea was to have a little spot for RVs to park, you know, like van-sized RVs, and that's totally possible. I do want to bulldoze across all the way to the other property line, and then somewhere have that cut up and go to this road as well. This particular road should get widened because it's already not too shallow, but by cutting in here, we can make it so we can have two-way traffic here. In general, I want only one-way roads to reduce the total footprint of roads. But this is a very principal road for getting in and out of the Bosque, and I don't really want to have traffic have to go all the way up the hill and then back down, and I don't want to run it through the one I mentioned that goes through the lower part. I want to have that be, really it's for foot traffic. I want it to be wide enough for a vehicle to get through it, but I want to keep its footprint even as small as possible for a single lane road. Like often I say, you know, roads should be 1.5 cars wide. And in this case, I think I would change that and say that I want it to be just 1 car wide with some pull-out areas. You know, I can make little pull-out things for an RV spot to camp or something, or a tenter to camp, all that kind of stuff. It really doesn't matter. The funny thing is that this is growing up so fast that like I already can't top off a lot of these trees, and they don't all have to get topped off. That's not the point. In fact, we should have a sculpture of higher trees to provide visual interest that's closer in, with the lake in the background. There's a cool pine over there that's got a twisty shape. There's still plenty of oaks in here. I could actually take down some of these oaks. We took down a bunch of oaks that were blocking the view, and I have a guy who makes charcoal, and so he could actually turn those into charcoal. And he wanted to do that before. Like, he asked me, do you have any more oak trees? And I said, well, no. And the reason I said that was because I didn't want to make charcoal during the dry season. I'm afraid of forest fires because you get this mountain of earth with all this smoldering wood under it, and I'm just really paranoid about forest fires, and rightfully so. But it's funny. I mean, even though I cut down a whole bunch of oaks over there, I still got two here, one over there, another one over there, one right here, that are essentially blocking the view still. So there could be another wave of cutting in here. It doesn't really matter. What I'm pleased is that all this other lower stuff is coming back in so quickly. And then we're going to go through and cut out the Harachina, which is a plant that is so successful that we could call it invasive. It isn't actually invasive in the sense that it damages the ecosystem. In fact, the bees like it, and it's something, it's something to have there. So that's great. It's not a bad plant. But I can't even see enough in here to kind of sculpt into it and see what I want to have happen. It's possible that there could be some buildings on that side. And I think that, after we widen the road and perhaps straighten the road a little bit, usually I don't care if roads are straight or not, but we've got a bunch of bulldozer work to up here. Then we can also decide where we want to put buildings on the lower side as well, to serve things, and then we could have causeways to go out to the building. I have thought about having raised concrete areas that act like a plaza, and those would be on the level of the road here, but they would go out there and provide shade, increase microclimates. They would allow for rain capture, and then we could have water. I mean, a lot of that stuff's better upslope, because if we can collect water upslope, then we can deliver and use it downslope without pumps. I really don't like pumps. So this is pretty exciting. For near term, I guess the main thing is do nothing right now until we got the bulldozer work done. It's dumb to start planting like a more diverse bunch of plants in there. We could go in and thrash, all the Harachina, and that could be fine. Just get rid of the understory of plants so that we can see it and make some plans. But even that's optional. I mean, it can just happen later. I would like to put a guardhouse up on this side and maybe pull back in and put the guardhouse in closer and plan for more public areas on that side. Both the north and the south sides should have areas that serve the public more. And then there's just one road in. It's not real big, and that should be widened, but that's not my property, and I need to find somebody to buy that property or get richer and buy it myself, because that should be a much bigger road. And then really long-term thinking, below here is avocado fields, and there should be the plan to have a connection to the downslope area. I think one of those avocado fields is a good spot for a road that goes all the way to the north side, the north road, and then that road actually has a connection, or could have a better connection, to the paved road that goes to Pichatero from Uricho. So we need to think about all these transport options, but as far as the publicness thing is we pull back from the current property line. We also put in another entry up above where the beehives are, and those are the things we have to think about first. There's not a lot to think about in terms of water flow. Any roads we make, of course, we want to plan for water flow. I've got an upper road already made, and that should be widened intensely. And then the highest spot on the whole property is way up there, and we should plan for view off of that. It's heavily treed right now, but we could clear that and terrace the hillside a little bit, make a spot on the top that was just this great destination. Also, of course, one of the rules we design by is forget about the land border, right? We want to plan for maximum best use, even though there's this straight line as a border. Look at these nice magueys here. Those are just great. They're way too dense, but I don't care. Somebody probably just threw a bunch of seeds around here, and it's not worth digging them up. So anyway, so when we think about not being restricted by the property line, what we mean is that we may be able to buy that property someday, or we may not want to block the view of somebody else who might want to build up there. I don't know. The best thing is to get control of the other property, but we might want to connect to the other property. And I don't know that property up there well enough. I've walked up there before, years ago, and it's pretty rocky. It's got big cool rocks, but it's actually visually really neat. And it's unlike, the landscape is unlike anything I've got here. So that's pretty fucking cool. All right, so I'm at the north gate. No, south gate. North gate. What the hell? I'm so confused. No, yeah, I misspoke earlier. The barranca is on the south part of this area of the property. I'm now at the north gate. And the guy's not here. I walk faster than him, probably even in my injured state. He's just a kind of guy that doesn't walk real fast. It was actually kind of dumb for me to put this gate where I did, because there's nowhere to park if you pull in here. There's a tiny space enough for parking right here. But if I was to instead, put barbed wire fencing or whatever and just pull it in, because it's not like it's a secure location anyway, right? People can get through here. But ultimately, I want a parking lot here and all that. The more likely spot I'll do that is up above the beehives. And in that case, basically bulldoze in a large flat spot up there, make an entry so that people can actually come here, park there, and have a gate as well like this, I guess. But beyond that, have it be clear that just because you're in that parking lot, you're not in the Bosque. So go ahead and plan for a real wall with all of this stuff to control security things and stuff like that. It's possible that the high point up here could actually be set up as a park. That would be very tempting because, I don't really, I'm a private property owner, or I'm a caretaker of a property, or I'm there's other words for that stuff. But I'm temporary and I have no heirs. And so I believe that I have the opportunity to set aside some land as public land, publicly accessible land. Now, because publicly accessible land gets destroyed, I still want to think about security with that. So I want to be able to shut it off when I want to. I want to keep it from becoming a place where there's garbage. You look at beaches and stuff on holidays and they're just covered in garbage. It is disgusting. It really doesn't speak well for humans at all. So like even down here, this corner of the property, wait a minute. Yeah, the northwest side of the property, no, northeast, sorry. Down from the road, I could set up an area here, and that could even be like a salon de eventos, a place for events, because view is really cool. People love views. And so I could set up a pretty big area, and it could have a kids play area. It could have some businesses and a restaurant, its own root cellar system, and I think that would be really wise. And that becomes semi-public. Publicness, right, is not a single definition. There's varying degrees of it and varying aspects. But making it available would be really cool. And, maybe the gate gets left open a lot for now, and, kids come up here and play and stuff. And that could be just a great thing to offer the community of the little town over here. Because I love those folks. They're just so great. And I'm an outsider. I'm a foreigner. And I moved here without speaking the language. And people were kind and tolerant. And it's just been great. That goes also true for Arangarikoro. the larger town down by the lake. You know, people have just been awesome, actually. So I feel like I have this resource, land, and it really, in a sense, I'll be very careful saying this, but we all own the land. I mean, who decided that land got owned by anybody in the first place? You know, that's ridiculous. Holy shit, I'm doing great. This is a hazard. That said, I'm going to be the custodian of this land, the caretaker of it. There's another word I'm looking for with that. So here's a little bridge, and it's made with rotted logs. And this bothers me because most of them are falling down. There's only 2 that look like they're solid at all. Maybe I should actually pay somebody to fix up this little bridge. But I don't think I want to cross that. That makes me nervous. I'm going to find another way through this gate over here. Through this fence, rather. I mean, I think about, you know, land use and property rights and stuff like that. In general, I am very much in favor of property rights. But I think that we can put limits on them if we want. One of my examples of that, which is a good and bad example, well, actually, I'll give a couple examples, and then please feel free to suggest others. I would love to learn about the varied ways we could handle property, and one of my big concerns, of course, is protecting it environmentally. And I think it's Fiji. They have a lot of Indians that move there, people from India, and I think that the locals they have a law that doesn't allow them to doesn't allow Indians to own land. And that's because the belief is that the Indians would come in, they have more resources, more perhaps business acumen, and they would take control. Here in Mexico, they have a law, and I agree with this law, I guess. It's nationalist, it's not racist, and I guess the other one's nationalist, not racist either. But they have a law that within 50 kilometers of the coastline, foreigners cannot own land directly. They can have a long lease through a trust. And I think that's acceptable to me, you know? I don't mind that. Because if they didn't have such a law, what would happen is corporations and individuals from all over the world would buy up all these awesome coastlines in Mexico. And that's not necessarily bad. I mean, you know, we all own the land, right? Let's think worldwide and everything, but on a pragmatic sense, it's not good. Also, a lot of that land is actually owned by indigenous groups that probably have less economic power. I gotta get through a fence here. Why am I doing this? Why don't I just wait for him here? It's an experiment. That's why. To see how far I can go. Get myself fixed up, independent. So, you know, realistically, I think it's better if they have that law. I'm in favor of it. And if I want to own land, well, I'll become a Mexican citizen. The truth is, I don't really have a big plan to go to the coast because it's too hot for me. If I want to go to the coast, I should just go down there and rent, you know, or make friends down there I can stay with. That would be real cool. Got to make sure I don't miss this guy if he goes that way. I won't, though. This is great. This is no problem. And I'm, you know, thinking about whether I can get back or not, of course, here. That's very important. So now I'll be on the other side of that little bridge. There's my little camouflage dog over there. Barely see her. That's Mayhem. I think she's probably excited I'm going to town, but confused why I'm taking a different trail. This is actually where the trail goes down into town. It gets quite steep, and it can get a little bit slippery with mud. It's not that muddy right now. Even though it's been raining, the sun came out. And the other reason it gets slippery is because of the oak leaves. The oak leaves cover it, and then it gets very slippery at times. Whoa, dude, do not fall over. This is great. I haven't been on this trail for almost 2 years. In fact, this is the trail I went to town in when I had the accident in town. So last time I went down this trail, I did not come back. Oh. All right, this connects up with the other trail, so I won't miss the dude with my supplies. That is just awesome. So as far as property ownership goes, we can, as a society, decide things, lots of things, that avoid the centralization of property into very few hands, that avoid ecological damage. And I'm okay with that. Some people would say, well, it's my land, I can do whatever the hell I want with it. I'm afraid no, you can't. And that's maybe not as libertarian of me as some people would like, but we do make decisions as a society, and if somebody is going to actually contaminate their land, for example, like build a nuclear reactor on it that blows up, or even dump oil in the soil or chemicals or contaminate it, then they're destroying something for generations to come. You know, they shouldn't put a minefield on it. Enough problems with governments putting minefields in and wars, and then generations of little kids get their limbs blown off. That's not very polite. And I gotta be really careful here on this trail. It's not that bad. Going back is going to be another matter. But this is great. I can't believe I've gotten this far. I almost decided to walk into town myself today, but I was kind of afraid that I'd walk in and then have trouble getting back. God damn it. Just spilled my beer. This is my reward for walking all the way into town. Let's walk back. I'll keep recording and we'll think about property rights and land and everything like that. Because it's a big topic. I think one thing I don't like is when people are really big into their one solution and that they're willing to kill other people if they don't agree with it. I think that as a society we can have, or societies, we can make different kinds of decisions, you know? I should probably talk about ejidos and communal property a little bit. When property is communally owned, it's generally bad. And that would include government ownership of property. Like, why not just have the government own everything? Well, because they're a very dangerous organization that we entrust with the use of force. And they will use that force to benefit some people and take from others. You're just asking for inequality and corruption. It's a terrible thing. So now I got to go up this hill. That's going to be difficult. The nice thing about going uphill is that you fall forward, so your falling direction is closer. So I'd rather walk uphill than downhill, actually. Uses different muscles. So we could probably do a survey of communal ownership around the world and see how that works out. Certainly if it's some small tribe with a ton of land, it doesn't matter. But the more people you have on a piece of land, the more difficult that is. Even you look at the example of Lanai, right? Lanai is a case where one guy, Larry Ellison, owns like 97% of the land. That's fine, whatever. Lanai is an interesting case. But Lanai City, then you've got a bunch of people who probably get to use the rest of the island. I don't know. I suspect so, but it's private property still. So that seems problematic. I hate it when people say problematic. When they do that, I already know they're probably kind of a dick. Not supposed to say dick or pussy to insult people, because it's insulting one of the best things we have. So I don't like to do that. I'm not saying it's wrong if you do. I don't care what you do. But my decision is not to do that. So the ejidos around here are interesting. The ejidos existed because the hacienda system was divided up. The haciendas were like plantations. And the problem now is that the ejidos own it. And even though people are assigned lots that they have, and they have changed the law now where people can sell that land, there's multiple problems with it. Like, for example, if it's in the ejido, a person wouldn't have a big motivation to build a building on it because that's an investment that then they don't really have control over. Just like, you know, I as a property owner and wondering about how to have community and things, I don't think anyone would invest to build a building on my land because they wouldn't really own it. I could kick them out. You look at Williamsburg, Colonial Williamsburg. No, was it Williamsburg? No, this might have been somewhere else. Anyway, they had an experiment where they had collective farming of land, and you get the tragedy of the commons, where it's in everybody's benefit to take from the land and to not work for the real benefit of the land because they don't own it. So private property ownership makes a huge amount of sense. It's a good idea because then somebody actually wants to take care of it. Now, there's other property use issues about, like, can you cut down trees on the land? Well, it depends. The main thing is we have to set good rules in the first place, good land use rules, and then not change them while someone owns the land. Because that's a taking. They call that a taking, where you're taking someone's right to their property away. And that happens all the time. Eminent domain occurs where a government, either with a good reason or without one, can just take your land away. So we have to set really good rules on these things beforehand. We want to zone out land. Now, we don't have a new Earth, right? One might imagine. Let's say we had a new planet just like Earth, okay? And it orbits around the moon like the Earth. It's a dual planet system. Let's just call it that. It's real nearby. And then we have the opportunity to move there. How would we use that and zone it to better use? Because rezoning, or, changing the rules, causes conflicts, right? But if you had and one way to look at it is this way, is if you were able to go back in time and you were to be able to zone out the whole Earth, this would be a really fun project, actually, a good GIS project, Geographic Information Systems. That's a pretty good one. And then imagine, what should we do? What should we have done with zoning out the whole planet? Where would we put cities? Where would we put transportation systems? How would we protect waterways? Would we build dams or not build dams? Dams are pretty damn controversial. And I think we would have something very different than the world that we evolved creating, This is great. I can't believe I'm getting up this hill. This is just fucking awesome. This is a monumental, huge step. Almost 2 years into it now. Next month it'll be 2 years. I wish I'd been here before, but regrets don't do much for you, do they? Holy shit, I'm almost up this hill. Talking to the camera is actually a great distraction. If I wasn't doing that, I think I would be focused on this being difficult. Maybe I wouldn't. Maybe it wouldn't take me as long. But whatever, this is the first time. And now I know it won't be the last time. Because I can drive into town, but I don't like to drive that much. It's noisy, bumpy. It's not as fun. And I need the exercise. That's why I was in good shape before the accident, was because the only exercise I got was walking into town. Sometimes I'd walk into the other town, the bigger town, the Rongricro. That's 5 kilometers away. And that's real good exercise, walking 5 kilometers down, 5 back. That's something like 5 miles or so. And then carrying stuff back in my day pack. So I'm also walking at the wrong time of the day because it's getting pretty hot out here. That's kind of dumb of me, but I didn't know I was walking to town today. I had no idea. I thought I was just going to get to the gate, I'm sweating and stuff. This is so good for me. Fuck. God. I hate barbed wire. I already had to go over some barbed wire before. And it's like, fuck. We don't hate barbed wire as a concept. It's actually very useful. Okay. I'm closing these gates because I'm not an asshole. You should always leave a gate the way you found it. This gate's harder. Down here below me there's a avocado orchard. I'd love to buy that whole property. It's a pretty small avocado orchard and the rest of it's forest. So it'd be perfect. And then I could do some experiments with having an avocado orchard that was not for export, because there's all these rules on that, but one that was more biodiverse. I could plant coffee under the avocados, because coffee and avocados go well together. At least they do in Guatemala. And I could have spots where there's rabbits in there, protect the trunks of the trees. I raise rabbits and chickens and rotate them through. Those would automatically fertilize the ground, and they would also keep the grass down. Right now they use weed whackers and stuff to keep the grass down. They're noisy and burn gasoline. Ugh. All right, this is great. Getting up here to the green gate. When I edit this video, I should check on what the start time on this walk was and what the end time is. And I can figure out how long it took me to make this walk. Because normally I'm a pretty fast walker. But I haven't stopped to rest. All I did was stop to oh, duh. What the fuck is going on here? Oh. My patience is a little bit less than it has been during parts of this process. I was very patient initially with this injury. Because I had to be, and had to be nice to people, and I'm nice anyway, but oh good, somebody fixed that gate up there. This thing used to be really hard to open and close. Hi honey, nice walk, huh? Isn't that exciting? It's so great. After I got injured, this dog, the most loyal and smart dog I've ever owned, her name's Mayhem. She would walk with me all the time into town. We'd sit down by the basketball court and have a beer, watch people go by, a little bit of people watching. And we went down there so many times. You know, it was a way for me to escape the Bosque and get my head out of the space I'm in, the space I'm always in. And after I got in the accident, I just didn't come home. And my friend told me that she was coming to town all the time, and that she would actually go down and sit in the basketball court waiting for me, because she knew I wasn't home, so I got to be somewhere, and that's the other place I go. Well, I'm walking up to the mesa now, a little bit more uphill. I'm almost out of my beer. So sad. That was a good idea though, because nice cold beer on a hot day while I'm walking, that's a great idea. Brilliant. Fuck, I'm home. Maybe the hardest walk I've ever gone on in my entire life. I've hiked all kinds of places, but I made it back. Didn't fall down. I'm actually kind of happy. That is the most rewarding walk of my life. Thanks for going on it with me. Thank you to all of those who have, a lot of people have met me since the accident, you know, or because of it, and they've supported me, and they've sent encouraging notes. People have sent products to help me that I didn't even know I needed, like a walker or vitamins and stuff. People have sent cash, which is the universal best help that actually literally got me the surgery to fix me. You know, within a couple days, I got local people, my friends that donated. They lent me money. I've still got 2 people to pay back locally. And I've been slow about it because they're pretty well off people, but I feel terrible about it. So I got to figure out how to become economically successful, so that I can pay them back, and I'm getting back to being Brian. And now I have to go with the big challenge of what do I do with me, and how do I make a better world. And I don't know how much longer I'll live, but it could be a while. You know, apparently I'm not dead yet. So thanks for hanging in there with me on this walk. Thanks for hanging in with me on the Brian adventure. A lot of people that knew me a long time also contributed. Friends from high school contributed, which was a surprise to me, but just absolutely wonderful. I think the thing that saved me was social capital. It wasn't the government. It wasn't social services. It wasn't subsidized health care. It was the fact that I've been a good and or interesting person to enough people during my life that they thought I'm worth keeping alive. So thank you so much for all your help. Thank you, and thank you, and thank you.